Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Founders Chair podcast. I'm your host, Andy Goldberg, and very pleased to welcome onto the show today Emma Frew from Breeze Connection. Emma, welcome to the Founders Chair podcast.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, thank you very much for doing this. I'm really excited to be chatting with you today. Can we just start off, Emma, if you can just tell us a little bit about yourself personally, just so we get to know who you are?
Yeah, of course. I'm born and bred in Irvine, in Ayrshire, in Scotland, and yeah, I've lived there my full life until I was about 18 years old. Ventured off out to Australia for a few years. And it was kind of out there that I decided to start a business up. So when I moved back to Scotland, that was when my business journey kind of began. But yeah, I always had a love of travel and seeing the world and things like that. So spent quite a lot of time, like I say, in Australia for a few years, and on returning back to Scotland, was in Glasgow for a while, and now I've settled myself in Kilmarnock, which is where we kind of operate out of. But yeah, yeah.
What drove you out to Australia? Was it just this desire to see the world and adventure?
I went out there to study actually. That's what's kind of what initially took me out there. So I studied leadership out there, but I also worked in events. So it was just the course that I was on. It was quite hands-on. I was never really interested in going to uni or college or anything like that. Like studying is something that I've never really enjoyed naturally in that sense. But I like learning more so like hands-on, like actually something that I can get stuck into and learn while I'm doing it. So yeah, it was the perfect course for me out there where I could practically be out working on events and things like that, which at that point in time was what I thought I would do with my life.
Yeah.
But a slightly different point of marketing, I would say, is where we're at now. So yeah,
Because a lot of people who go to Australia, they decide not to come back. They just love it out there.
yeah, I know everyone said this, and I really did think about staying, but it's just so far, and I'm technically an only child, so yeah, I just couldn't wait for my parents for that long. It's too far away. It's
Fair
not
enough.
anywhere, Australia. It's in the middle of nowhere. So yeah.
So tell us your story about how the business, how you came about to decide to start a business, right? So what gave you the confidence to start a business and what made you decide to go out on your own?
Well, I mean, I was very young. I was only about like 21 when I started the business up. So I had just moved back from Australia, and I kind of realised I always had an interest in business, but I didn't know what to do. I was like, I just knew I wanted to start a business, but I didn't know on what or about what. I was so young, I didn't have lots of skills under my belt or experience at that point in time, but I did have a little bit in terms of a lot of administration skills and marketing and sales and different things like that. So I kind of was looking for an opportunity. And at the same time, my dad was made redundant from the factory he'd worked in pretty much his whole life. Um, so he was kind of looking for something himself. He was looking for work, and
Hmm.
he was getting on a little bit in his life, and he was struggling to find work. And I suggested to him that he set up a business himself, doing kind of gardening, handyman, painting skills for different local people. And I helped him set up his business. And during that time, I became aware of how many trades there are out there who don't present or manage their business very well. The amount of people that you hear, I mean, I used to always, when we first set up, I used to always use a phrase and I would say, you or you're someone you know will have plenty of stories about bad experiences of working with trades. And it might not be, a horrific cowboy type of story, but it might just be something subtle like you're waiting on a quote from someone for weeks and weeks, or you didn't get the invoice, or it wasn't the invoice didn't match the quote, or whatever it might be. But from a business perspective, most people have their own stories of poorly working with a trade. So I kind of started to problem solve and just listen to people's stories and understand why this was happening a lot. Um, and at that point in time, I was very aware of like there's a TV show, I forget the name of it now, but it's about the cowboy builder or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, and it wasn't really that kind of that wasn't I'm not trying to solve world peace, like that was never the intention behind things, but mine was more around, and I found a problem of business support that trades lack. So when I helped my dad, I ended up ongoing managing my dad's business for him, and then I started to offer that as a service. So that's kind of what Breeze Connection initially was it helped people trade
Hmm.
businesses manage and grow their businesses. We would do a commission-based service where we would help with any work we would find for them. So we would do anything from sales and marketing, administration, business development, finance management, any of the business piece, and let them just focus on the trade and the part that they were good at. Which worked great for a while, and it was something that that was really good from my own personal perspective and my own journey in business. I learned so much, but financially it didn't have the best model behind it, and it wasn't the most thought out. And yeah, over time things began to change. So it wasn't actually until about lockdown. By that point, we had grown arms and legs in what we offered. So other businesses were coming to me and saying, "Could you do those services for me?" But I'm not a tradesperson, so we were offering our services individually to different business types. And during lockdown, we had to close down, like a lot of the world did. A lot of our clients had closed down. So I had basically a bit of headspace, I suppose, is the best way to put it, during that time to really think about what we wanted to do. And I really honed into the fact that what if there's one thing that we could do to help all of our business, our clients, what would that be? And the biggest thing I could think of was if they all had more leads or more sales, that would help their business the most. So during lockdown, again, I just spent a lot of time myself learning more into different aspects of marketing, getting experience myself, and then actually we actually ended up really growing our business. It became a fully fledged marketing agency. We dropped all of our other services, and yeah, we became really focused around that kind of thing, and that's been the journey we've been on since then. So yeah.
So you really self-taught out of necessity. Like you went out there, "Well, I've got to help my dad in his business and grow." And then you realized that what you were doing for him would apply to other trades.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And it was great. Like even to this day, there's still things that I value from my initial journey. You know, there's things that just listening to people is the biggest thing, listening to what people's problems are and how, and then building something around that as opposed to just
Yeah.
sitting in my house with my ideas and thinking up something, which is something that we face a lot where people come to us with their marketing ideas around for their business. And it's not
Mhm.
often a really thought out model that anyone actually wants to buy, which, yeah, is always a challenge.
What was there a big transition you needed to make to go from just trades to all different types of businesses, or did you find
Yeah, I mean, not really, because
they all have the same needs?
yeah, we weren't really like, I think the biggest thing is we weren't chasing that business at that point in time. So anyone that came to us, it was something that just we would just learn about their business. And even now, I still think that applies. I always think it's quite interesting. People often will come to us now and they'll say, you know, have you worked in this industry before? And I'm like, if we can do marketing, we can apply it to any business, because you know, just because one business is in the same industry that maybe worked in before, it's still a different brand, a different business, a different target audience, different goals. So the marketing principles are still always the same. It's just that you might pick and choose from a suite of options to suit that business model differently. So yeah, not at all. No, I actually found that if anything, it makes it more interesting for us to do that, because you need to again go in and learn differently and view things through a different lens. So yeah.
So you just needed COVID to give you a little bit of that thinking time, and then it created that opportunity, more companies coming to you. So
Yeah, absolutely.
you turned what was a catastrophe into a great opportunity for you.
Yeah, we grew our business massively during lockdown. People were working from home, so it was the perfect time. And actually, we had an office prior to that, and we currently don't have an office. We work fully remotely, which I would never have probably really considered before that point in time. But yeah, it was a really positive time for us.
So tell us about Breeze Connection. What do you do now, and who would be your target audience?
Yeah. So we are a fully fledged marketing agency. We massively focus on Facebook ads management. It's a huge area that we help clients with. We do offer other services like social media management or email marketing management, content creation, influencer marketing. It just really depends, again, like I say, on the brand. Like there's clients that we'll do content shoots for once every 3 months. There's clients who we'll design their graphics for a particular platform they work on. There's clients who we fully do, we've got like a full packaging process set up for them in the business model that they have. It just really depends on the client, which is why sometimes it's interesting, because even our existing clients will sometimes say, I didn't realise that you could do that for me. And I'm like, just talk to me about what you're doing. Like there's so many options of what we can do that just with the skill set of our team, we can really apply to most aspects of marketing.
Yeah, so you could build a list of all the things you can do, but it would be a long list.
Yeah, and it also just wouldn't be personalized to the brand either. Yeah, for example, we've got like a client who works in property, and we have a full on like there's like a full system and process, because we've worked with them for a couple of years now, and for every new property that they manage, we have a full process that helps them market and upload and develop that product, that property. So yeah.
How do you find the virtual working environment? Because that's a hot topic, has been a hot topic for a few years.
Yeah.
How do you find it's working for you, and how do you make sure that it's working?
I think for us, it works really well for us in general. Like it's from a team management point of view, like if the work's not done, we know it's not done. It's a very visual, like you can see if the work's been done well or not. You can see it done or quality to it as well. So I can easily manage and see what that looks like. It might be different for an industry where, like sales, for example, if you don't know if someone's actually gone out and doing the job that they say they're doing and things like that. But for us and what we offer, it's really easy to manage and see that our team's doing their job or not. Um, Personally, I think probably it's worked really well as well because a lot of the time we're working with really creative people. So for us, they can go out and work where they want to work from. So for example, one of our team last week was in Prague. She was away for the week. She worked from there. She was visiting family and
Mhm.
she continued to work. So it just means that I'm really passionate about our team being happy and healthy in what they do. And I think it's important that they are not given like constraints that they have to be somewhere. Like I don't work very well like that. I don't like
Yeah.
like being in office for 9 o'clock every day and finish at this time every day. I work better having the freedom to choose where I can work from, and sometimes that's not very often these days, but in the past that might be my bed because I'm maybe just not feeling it that day or whatever it might be. Sometimes that's been Barcelona. It just depends on what's going on. So yeah, I like
Yeah,
it.
just as you're saying it, I'm thinking, how ridiculous would it be to tell your team that you need them to be creative and then tell them they got to be in at 9, leave at 5, they're sitting in a cubicle, same environment, same surroundings. Of course, it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And like for us, it's just more, it's also, we're actually now looking at getting another office again because some of our team do like to have that collaboration time and we still meet up. We hire venues at the moment and we'll go and have like a content shoot day for ourselves and we have a bit of a team meeting, or it's also the money saving, like the money that we would put into an office at the moment. We now put that into just spending time with our team, like maybe going on trips with our team or like just different things like that. Like that's kind of where like we were out at like Flight Club recently in Glasgow. We did a team night out a couple of weeks ago, and it's nice to have that time where they can bond and be together, but it's not work related as well. So yeah.
Good. What would you say has been your biggest learning as a business owner, Emma?
Uh, um, I think always having a sales pipeline is probably one of the best things that I've ever kind of like came on to. And I always remember years ago I used to work as part of a kind of an accelerator program that helped startups and things like that whenever I
Yeah.
was just getting going. And there was people in there who completely had their focus on the wrong things. And also because we work with so many businesses as well, and we have done over the years, like I've seen a lot of different businesses' journeys, and the ones who are still going and still doing well, including ourselves, is like we're 9 years old now, so it's like those ones that are really focused on their sales has been such a key part of things. The ones who get distracted all the time with new things to go and develop, or product-based businesses who are like, I'm not selling any product, so I'm going to develop another product. It's like their focus is on the wrong thing, like, and it just holds them back. So yeah, definitely having a sales pipeline that you're actually feeding and growing is definitely the key thing because you don't know if you might lose a client or anything like that. So yeah.
Yeah, it's really refreshing to hear you say that because I ask that question a lot, and a lot of the answers, and there's no wrong answers, and they're not bad answers, but a lot of what I hear is, well, look after your people and they'll look after you, or be resilient, or always be looking for new opportunities. And you're like, no, you got to sell and constantly sell, and you got to
Yeah.
have sales in the pipeline, right? And
Yeah.
that's where I come from, right? With a sales background, I'm thinking, well, okay, great, you had a great quarter, or you had a great month, but what's next?
Yeah,
And never took your
absolutely.
foot off the gas.
Yeah, I remember once there was the program I was telling you about. There was someone in particular in the group, and they had developed a product that they'd been working on for years, but they had never asked anyone during that time if they ever wanted to buy it. And then they actually finished developing the product, and no one would buy it. And I remember having a conversation with this person, and it got a bit heated, which is not really like me. I'm not like that kind of person, but I just was so frustrated with the fact that I just thought you wasted years of your life developing something that actually people don't want, and now you've like, what was the point in all that? So yeah, I just think at the end of the day, you need to know if people want what you're selling and have a good process in place to actually sell it. So yeah.
What would you say has been your biggest challenge during the years? And did you have anybody there to help you through it?
Um, I think in terms of like in recent years, it's probably well, always I'm a big people pleaser. So I like everyone to love what we do and to love the results we get for them and the rest of it. And I think that's the reality is that's just not always going to be the case. Not everyone's always going to stay with you forever and be a client forevermore. Like, and not everyone's going to love what you do. And when we're not always going to be the right match for everyone either, which is something that even now I still struggle with at times. But I think having yeah, it's just that kind of customer relations piece of part of the business that I sometimes definitely am challenged by. Um, but also having my parents and my partner are probably the key three people that always really help support me through certain things. We've also got a business consultant who works with us, and just if there's certain scenarios that we're in, I can take that to him and discuss it out with him from a more professional point of view, as well as having my family there from a personal point of view if I'm maybe a bit upset about something and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, so family for the moral support, but maybe somebody on the outside who's not emotionally connected.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Someone that will kind of logically think through it, but thankfully the person I'm talking about, he's very he's quite similar to me. So he kind of understands why I feel certain ways, but will almost help me take the emotions out of it. I used to always I still do have a kind of a mindset that I use if I'm ever struggling with anything that's business related. So I'll always imagine if I had a board of directors that I had to go and report to, what would they expect me to do in the certain scenarios that I'd face to be in, and how should I handle it? And it just helps me take me, Emma, out of the scenario and make it more a business thing. So yeah.
Good. So what's the next big thing for you in your business, Emma? Where's Breeze Connection going in the next 1 to 3 years in terms of growth, challenges, opportunities?
I think for us, it's just about consistently doing what we're doing at the moment and not getting too distracted by anything. Like, I think we only kind of became more focused on Facebook ads management in the last year or so. As much as we were already doing that service beforehand, we've just really honed in to sell more of that service because it is again a bit like what I said during lockdown. It's one of the biggest things that help businesses grow outside of things like social media management and all the rest of it. People can often get really distracted by paying for all these different kind of services, or if they're not paying someone, investing themselves their own time in those things, but they won't always generate results. So for us, Facebook ads is a game changer for any business that we work with on it. So it's, for us, it's just about in the next few years selling more of that service, but also doing a really good job of it, making sure that our reputation builds, making sure that we get great results for our clients, and also, like I said before, for me, a big focus is also on our team. We've grown our team in the last few months again, and it's just about making sure that we bond that team and that they work well together and that they're all, yeah, really trained well in what they do and they're evolving in what they do, growing their skills and experience, and helping them do that and giving them a platform to do it. So yeah,
So what I'm hearing is you're focusing on what you're good at. You're
yep,
staying consistent. You're
yep,
not allowing yourself to get distracted.
yep, yeah,
Those are
exactly.
good lessons, huh? A
Yeah,
lot of people that are going to be watching this are going to be thinking, huh, I'm trying this, I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm going everywhere. Let's find what we're really good at,
yeah.
be consistent.
I think I've been to like I've spent a lot of time going to different business conferences and events and seminars and things where they'll ask you questions like, what's your 5 goals that you've got and things like that. And for us, it's not really about having a list of things we want to achieve anymore. It's just about being consistently, we know what we're doing, we know what we're building, we know what we're selling now. So just continually refining what that looks like and doing it better and better is, yeah, I suppose the simple way to put it.
So, what advice would you have for other business owners or would be business owners who are just going out on their own or who are contemplating going out on their own?
I think the biggest thing that's helped me is to really believe in myself, which is so generic, but it's like there's been times whenever I was first set up in business where I would be on the job sites and I would be thinking, I can't do this anymore and it's too difficult, or something would go wrong and it was like a catastrophe, the whole thing would look wrong. But looking back, one of the biggest things that's helped me get to where I am today is just no matter what, because there's people in my world as well that would say, I think you should just go and get a job now. Like, I think they would encourage you to go down that road. But I think if you have an inbuilt belief that you can do it and that you've got the skills and the ability to do it, or if you can, then you go and figure it out and you figure it out and you learn from it. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that's helped me on my journey. So yeah, I would encourage people just to believe in themselves and go and figure things out that you don't know yet. There's plenty of answers out there, and living in this day and age, having Google and access to AI and the rest of the things, it's a lot more accessible for information.
And it's interesting because we've just come up to the end of the conversation, but what you've just said there sort of circles back to the very start where, tradespeople, they didn't know how to manage their business. They didn't know how to grow it because nobody teaches it, right? They went and learned a trade and they're an expert electrician, an expert builder, an expert plumber, but nobody taught them about marketing or sales or growth or leadership or finances or anything like that.
Yeah,
so we got to go out and learn how to be a business owner. We can't just be an expert in our trade.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
And you went out and there's more information now, right? Like you can use AI and Google to get the answer, but you got to go out and learn it and implement it.
Yeah, absolutely. Things are being curious, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Emma, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today. Thanks again so much for being on the Founders Chair.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We've been speaking with Emma Frew from Breeze Connection on the Founders Chair podcast. And thanks to all our listeners. And we look forward to seeing you again on the show soon. But once again, Emma Frew from Breeze Connection, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.